Mhm. 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 Check out the news.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Parker. When the hailstorm hit, he needed his insurance to get it done right. Right away. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
The Trump Organization is expected to be charged by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as soon as next week. Joining me is NBC's Tom Winter. So, Tom, what more do you know about these charges?
Well, Jeff, it is expected by the time that we arrive at Friday of next week, the Trump Organization will have faced criminal charges. We don't know one specific day next week, but we do know that the case is believed to center around tax evasion. Now, according to Trump's attorney, Ron Fischetti, who's representing the Trump Organization, he says that yesterday they met with prosecutors, that's Trump's attorneys, as well as prosecutors for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. They tried to persuade them not to file these charges. They said that Fischetti says that it looks like they're going to come down with charges against the company, and that is, quote, completely outrageous. He says, I've been practicing for over 50 years, and I've never seen a case like this where they would indict or charge an individual or a company on tax evasion for using a company car or a company apartment and then tie it to the company that he is working for without any evidence that what he did benefited the company. The he there is believed to be Alan Weisselberg, the chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. Jeff, as you remember, it was several months ago that I interviewed his former daughter-in-law, Jennifer Weisselberg, talking about the apartment, the use of an apartment by the Weisselbergs that was being probed by Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance. It's unclear whether that specifically will be in the charges, but this does appear to center around Alan Weisselberg's conduct. Now, legal observers had expected Weisselberg himself personally to be charged first in this case. However, it appears now that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is skipping that, going right to the Trump Organization and charging the company itself criminally. So we'll have to see how this all bears out. But a week from now, it is expected, Jeff, as I said, that the Trump Organization will be criminally charged.
years ago today, Donald Trump's lawyer will
I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. And it is truly appreciated that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input. I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law, but my comments are actually going to be very brief because most of it's going to be in writing. I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case. And that is why, as opposed to trying to be strong on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determine the sentence in this case.
As fighters compete for the final spots of the Professional Fighters League playoffs, Kayla Harrison goes head-to-head with Cindy Detrois. Plus, Anthony Pettis must win or go home versus House Manfield.
Cases, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge the deep and tremendous pain that all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family. You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community. It has been painful throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever, because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages. A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You were granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody he is currently holding. Anything from the defense?
Some
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Oh, when I did that
Sentenced
date.
to Derek Chauvin has been sentenced to
22 and a half years,
for
Chauvin.
the murder of George Floyd. Will serve 15 years of that because you served 2/3 of the time sentenced. Let's get a reaction starting with you, Ellie Holland.
Justice is imperfect. This is a serious sentence. Derek Chauvin will be in prison 15 years. He's 45 now until he's 60. That said, I think this is light. I think the judge should have sentenced him more. Minnesota guidelines say you can double the 15 years if there's one aggravator. This judge found 4 aggravators and didn't really come super close to doubling it.
Ben.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing. 15 years. I know people doing 15 years for nothing. I mean, for victimless crimes of drugs possession. Very disappointing. The level of any one of those aggravators, what this man did, there should have been the maximum of the maximum, and this is disappointing. I don't think it's gonna cause outrage, but it's a punch in the gut. This guy's life was worth more than 15 years. It was, and what that officer did is worth more than 15 years. And law enforcement across the country should look at something like this and say, look, you can't do this type of stuff. You're never going to come back home. It's disappointing.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I mean, the sentence isn't 15 years, so the sentence is 22 and a half years. So the 2/3 is good behavior. You know, that's a legal matter. The judge legally can't consider that when imposing sentence, right? He's got to impose a sentence that he feels is appropriate, and that sentence was 22 and a half years. That said, I do think also that it was like you all do. But 30 years was
Commissioner Ramsey's response. 22 and a half years, your reaction.
I thought it would be somewhere in between 25 and 30 is really what I kind of thought it would wind up being, is 22 and a half. That's the judge's decision. Like everything else, you live with it. But as far as messages go, 22 and a half years, if you're the one that has to do it, is a lot of time. And so I think it's very clear that, you know, it's a new day now. I mean, police officers are going to be held accountable, and that's important, and ought to be held accountable. This particular case is one of those.
I don't know what to do.
I mean, it was just so egregious that it's just, there's no way you can justify it in any manner, shape, or form, in my opinion.
Hi. I'm not really sleepy right now, but I don't know what to do. You know? Besides watching news. Not really ready for much reading. Just a little bit. I don't know what to do, so could you guide me maybe? Please. Thank you. I guess I'll go to sleep.
Lead when you're ready.
Carolyn, Carolyn, Pawlenty, Pawlenty. I am the mother of Derek Chauvin. I am here to speak on behalf of my entire family. On November 25th, 2020, not only did Derek's life change forever, but so did mine and my family's. Derek devoted 19 years of his life to the Minneapolis Police Department. It has been difficult for me to hear and read what the media, public, and prosecution team believe Derek to be an aggressive, heartless, and uncaring person. I can tell you that is far from the truth. My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist. I want this court to know that none of these things are true and that my son is a good man. Derek always dedicated his life and time to the police department. Even on his days off, he would call in to see if they needed help. Derek is a quiet, thoughtful, honorable, and selfless man. He has a big heart.
Stunning, the unthinkable, follow the clues, the hunt, true crime, 2020, Friday nights, 9 Central on ABC.
Admit it, these days, what you need to know
Seems to change just about every day.
what is it that you really want to know, need to know,
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter,
feel better.
feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Lunchtime at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC. It's all about you.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? To figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of action.
The ending's really... You don't know when the truth is going to be difficult to find. Unless you try to find it.
The reality is our country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen, the neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary event special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown hate, the war among us. This is a real wake-up call. Streaming now on ABC.
And the building collapse in Surfside, California, Florida, on Collins Avenue, I guess. It's 4 dead, 159 unaccounted for. Good. Oh. That little boy's mother was found dead. The Independent in the United Kingdom says Miami building collapse. Experts warned last year that building was dangerous as death toll hits 4. Meanwhile, a researcher at Florida International University has revealed that the building had been sinking into the ground since the 1990s. Showed me, I think. I don't remember if we ever were in downtown, but he told me about it at any rate. Let's see. FBI building wouldn't be named after Robert. Oh, wait, used to right. I don't know. There we go.
Around 2:30 this afternoon, more than 36 hours after the collapse, about a dozen workers could be seen focusing on this spot.
This is the second time we've seen them dispatch the canine handlers and their dogs to this area.
Peeling back layers of what was once the roof, hoping the dogs would find life, using remote cameras to see underneath.
The activity is considerable and it's constant.
Peering under large slabs of concrete, using sonar along with those dogs, slowly, methodically. And when they get a hint of anything, an all-stop is called. Silence, so they can listen for any signs of life.
Well, I'm totally hopeful, yeah. We're not giving up at all. We're full speed ahead.
And the powerful images, teams of firefighters entering the parking garage, the cars covered in dust and debris, some of them on their sides. They have been working for hours here, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue at Florida Task Force 1, wading through water in the basement parking garage. In the dark, using flashlights, teams shoring up the floors above them with yellow beams, drilling into the walls to get inside.
These first responders are going in through tunnels. They're working from the top. They're working from the bottom. It has to be done very, very carefully.
Tonight, investigators are now studying that surveillance video that the country has now seen. The disturbing moment the condo tower collapses, captured by a nearby building surveillance camera. Now asking what could have caused such a catastrophic collapse.
I don't know about anybody else, but I saw flashes of light. Two in the third portion of the building that was falling.
The building still standing. The bunk beds open to the
That
air.
would be a controlled demolition.
Desks, dressers, deck chairs still by the pool. Those lifts giving rescue workers a view from above. Teams of 10 to 12 rescuers entering the rubble, working in 15-minute shifts here. They haven't stopped. These specially trained crews from right here in South Florida.
It's a 2/3 of the building or something. The one wasn't the one facing in the back, it was the one perpendicular to it. The last one to fall. I saw a charge on a lower floor and a charge go off on a higher floor.
The entire structure is so unstable, streets have been blocked off for several